Hey there, if you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment to leave a review and to follow or subscribe. Don't forget to share with anybody that you think might be interested. Your support is greatly appreciated. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, and it's the best way for us to reach more people and grow this wonderful community. Thanks again for listening. Hey there. This week's insight started with a conversation about writing, but quickly became about something much deeper. In this moment from a recent coaching session, we explore how easily we can lose ourselves in the expectations of others and how anchoring into our why, our purpose, can shift everything. If you've ever felt the pressure to show up a certain way because it's what others expect, or even what you expect of yourself, this is your reminder that your best is allowed to look different every day. Let's dive in. I would have said the same thing, but not about writing, but about living. I mean, just think about what you just said and think about life and think about, right? Living based on the notes that you get from others about the way they think you should be living because they care about you or they care about the story or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And if you forget your why, or if you don't have your why, or haven't stopped long enough to understand that you deserve a why, and we all have one, right? You know, and it's ever evolving. So it's not like suddenly you're going to clear the decks and, oh, there it is. There are a lot of people who are like, I don't know. I don't have a purpose. And then they get freaked out. And then the goal becomes, I have to have a purpose, as opposed to,
Right.
You know what I mean? As opposed to actually exploring and finding what lights you up and so on and so forth. So I just want to say what you said was like textbook about life.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that makes sense because it's always about the why. The
Always.
why is anchor in
Yeah.
everything.
Because if you have the why, then you can go about the how.
There we go. Oh, I love that. I love that. The how depends on the why.
Yeah, because and the how is just where you actually, you get practical and you make choices and you figure it out. But if you're connected to your why, then the how reveals itself and it's easier to choose because there's an infinite ways of how to do things. How you would do it would be different than me. How you would do it today is going to be different than how you would do it tomorrow.
Next month.
Exactly. It's so contextual. And I think we as humans, we are contextual. Like, yes, we are in different contexts, but we are also ourselves different in every moment. And I think that's so important to know.
Completely. Every relationship, every circumstance, every setting, like we're different, but that doesn't mean we're any less of who we are. It's just like you said.
Correct. And we're also different in the same circumstances. We're still different. This is work I do. This is my dream is to work with creative teams going on a project, right? Like imagine going into a movie set, say, and everybody could have a language where they could speak and connect to how they're going to be the most effective that day, that hour in this scene, as opposed to always being expected by self and by others. You were hired to do this. This is what you're good at. You need to do it now. But you're contextualized, right? So you'll be able to pull it out because yes, you can do that. But your best is not going to look the same today as it did yesterday. Necessarily. It might, but not, there's always going to be slightly different. Now, we overshadow ourselves with our strengths. Because A, people expect us to show up that way, and B, we like showing up that way because it's, it works.
Right.
But what about all the other aspects of us that when it's more difficult to do that, and so my dream is that we all have a language that we can speak where it takes something as intangible as perception and make it tangible so that you can identify whether you're choosing it consciously or by default because you're used to it.
That is fascinating, actually.
Right? If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to dive deeper into cultivating a life of creative possibilities with my new book, The Places Where There Are Spaces. It's filled with personal stories and insights to help you embrace living in the moment. You can grab your copy by following the link in the show notes or wherever books are sold. Let's keep the conversation going and growing.